I don't need this. All right. Hello, one, instead of hello, everyone. I bet it's Sean. All right. I'm just gonna give it another minute before getting started. Maybe I just, as a matter of fact, I want to confirm that you guys see my screen, hear me, see my camera, everything looks good, sounds good. And looks like why Salesforce is not installed. It is probably installed but not configured. No, it's not installed altogether. Why Salesforce Chrome extension. This is a nice extension to have to create tabs up top here. Let me do that until we have one more person or so. It has been added. I'll just do flows for now, and I'll just copy this, and let's go to Y Salesforce, add a new tab, and let's name it flows, and save. So it's gonna add a tab for flows here. You can repeat this for other tabs that you frequently visit, like Experience Cloud or permission sets or profiles or users, things like that. Do you guys hear me just fine? Can I have a confirmation, please? Yo, is that a yes? Okay. Awesome. Okay, let's get started. Last time we were doing Camp Apex. We're basically picking up challenges from different places. One of which was Camp Apex, and we built them with flows. This time we might resume this, but there was a use case that I came across earlier this last week where we needed to get the rows that were not selected from a data table. So we have a data table on screen, and the user is selecting some records, and we do have one of the outputs as the selected rows. But then the guy that sent me this message, he wanted to select the unselected rows, the rows that were not selected. And I did build something to do that, and I published it to YouTube if you want to check that out. But then an amazing person proposed an idea of using the assignment element to remove the selected rows from the entire collection, which was a good idea. So I thought I would start with this because I don't see it being used very often. In the assignment element, we can you have a bunch of options, a bunch of operators: remove first, remove all. I think there is remove last. So I want to look at these first before resuming the Camp Apex. And as usual, this session is for you guys. If there is a particular topic or a use case that you're coming with, or if you have questions, we can definitely pause and discuss what you're here for. First, I'm just preparing things to get the conversation moving. If you have any questions or topics or use cases, just stop me anytime. So I wanna discuss. So what I wanna talk to you about is the let's let me create, I just want to show you the operator first, and then I'll just take a step back and see all of this. Let's say we have some collection just like that says anything. So this is what I want to look at. Remove first, remove before first. I don't even know what that means. And remove after first, and remove, oh, I think I understand what this means. We will experiment with this. Remove all. There is add at start, remove uncommon, and remove position. Now some of them are straightforward, some of them are not. I know that typically people use equals and add. I haven't seen it much that the other ones are being utilized. I personally forgot that we can do that, and I used some other way to select the unselected rows from the data table. So I want to experiment with these with you guys to see how they work. Since like the left side here is a text collection variable, and then it displays like this. So the operators react to what we have selected on the left side. So if I have a single variable instead of a collection, if I have a single variable and instead, I'm not clicking a collection here, and then I look at this, I wouldn't see that list. So it has to be a collection on the left side, and then this is acting upon that collection. Let's give this some proper name instead now. Let's say this is a text collection variable. Let's say names. Let's make this names, and I'm gonna delete this. I'll just add a bunch of stuff in here, a bunch of names, just to populate this collection with some names. Collect some names. Let's add Apple. Let's add orange. Let's add potato. Let's add tomato. Add just one more one, and then add banana. Okay, let's see what that just what are we doing? Remove operators. Well, let's see what that looks like on a screen. So we know that we see the collection. Display collection. I typically add the keyword screen at the end, but I just want to focus on the remove only for now. Let's add a display text. Display text. Display redundant. All right, and that's the collection. I just want to look at the collection and nothing else. Let's see what that looks like. Is it not working? Was it just taking time? All right, so this is the collection now. And a collection is an array. It's a list. Like these three keywords can be used interchangeably. A collection might mean something other than a list. In Apex, a list and a set are two different things. They are similar. And a collection in flows is like a list. It's like an array. Outside of the world of Salesforce, typically people might use the keyword array instead. So this is the array, this is the list, this is the collection. Apple, orange, potato, tomato, banana. I want to do one other thing. I want to repeat some of these. So let's add Apple again. I'm just getting this error. I want to check that it is still streaming. As such, viewers will experience buffering. Is it my internet? It sounds good now. Okay, it's working just fine now. All right, back to it. So I want to add some of these again. So I want to add like the keyword Apple multiple times. Let's start with that. Let's just not repeat anything else. Let's just repeat Apple. Let's save and debug. Now I'm gonna have Apple 3 times in the array. Validation errors, that's supposed to be add and debug. Right, so we've got Apple here, we've got Apple here, we've got Apple here. Now, if let's say that we need to remove the dupes, we need to remove the second Apple and the third Apple, and we need to keep the first Apple. Let's see what options we have. I'm gonna do another assignment to fix Apple, and I'm gonna select the collection here. And now let's see what happens if we remove the first Apple. So it's gonna remove the first of this value. It's gonna remove the first Apple from the collection. Let's see what that looks like. We're just experimenting with these operators to see how they work. So the first Apple was removed, and then we continue to have the second and third apples. Okay, if we were to remove all values of Apple instead, that should remove all values of Apple. Let's see, no more apples in here. And if we were to remove let's remove before first. Apple is the first in the collection, is the first value in the collection, so I don't want to use it in this case. I want to use it for some other value. Let's skip this one for now. Remove after first, so I'm going to remove all the apples after the first Apple value. This one is actually what we need to accomplish. It's going to remove the second and the third. It's going to keep the first value. Oh, that's not the case. Looks like it finds the first Apple value and then removes everything after that. Finds the first value and then removes everything after that. That's like the exact opposite of what I was thinking. Remove after first. Okay, and then we looked at remove all, remove uncommon. I have no idea what that means. I remember reading this, but I don't remember. Let's see what that does. I don't remember from the documentation what that means. Let's Google it very quickly. Assignment element remove uncommon. Remove uncommon. The items in the value collection are found within the variable collection. The found items are kept and all other items are removed. So it's gonna find Apple and keeps Apple and then remove everything other than Apple. This is my understanding. But why is it giving us an error? In an assignment element, Apple isn't a valid value when the variable is set with the remove uncommon operator. Let's see the example here. Oh, it needs a collection. It takes a collection, the first collection, and then remove from a second collection. So it takes a collection. Let's give it a collection then. If it needs a collection, let's give it a collection. I'm gonna create a collection. Text collection variable apples, and text collection. And I'll just populate this with the Apple value. add Apple value. That's the collection, add Apple, and then I need this to be before fixing this. So now we're removing the values. We're keeping apples. We're keeping the values in here, and then we're removing everything else. Let's see what that does. Apple is listed multiple times. I don't know at what point you sent the message, Nathaniel. So if you can remind me, like at what point was your question related to, and I'll keep an eye on the chat. So remove uncommon takes, unlike the other removes, it takes a collection, and I have given it a collection that has only one keyword, which is Apple. So it has kept Apple and then deleted, removed from the collection everything else. Okay, let's look at the remaining stuff now. Let me get rid of this and to get rid of this. I want to look at the last one is remove before first. So let me close all of these things. Remove before first, and I assume it's gonna work like remove after first. It's gonna find the first value of the value that we're gonna provide it, and then it's gonna remove anything before that. So what we're adding here is, let's say, let's find banana, and then I assume it's gonna remove the first four, and then it's gonna keep everything after this. So if we do remove before first banana, so it's gonna keep banana and anything after banana, and then it's gonna yeah, banana, apple, apple, the last three values, and then it has removed anything before that. It was before you looked up what the assignment did in the help article. You're good. Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, it seemed that it does take the remove uncommon takes, you know, anything in flows has an input and an output. The input was supposed to be a collection, unlike the other operators were just which you receive just a value. This remove uncommon needed a collection, needed the value to be another collection. The last one is remove position, and I'm sure this is going just to take a number and then it's going to remove the first or the second. Let's make it first. The first one is Apple, so it's going to remove Apple. The second one is orange, so if I change this, it's going to remove orange. It's going to keep the first apple. Yeah, it has removed orange, kept apple, and that's pretty much everything. I think this remove operator needed more of a visual representation instead of the way we just looked at it. But that's pretty much it with the remove. Let's resume with Camp Apex. Does anybody have any questions about the remove operator before we move on to Camp Apex? And I go to projects, event cloud. If anyone is new here, we were doing event cloud from Camp Apex, and there is a package here that you can install, which automatically gives you this application. After you install it, it's gonna install this application with these objects, and the package is gonna be in one of those lessons somewhere so that you can install it. Now I want to try to remember where we stopped last time. I think we did the expense last time. Did we do this last time? When a sponsor record is updated to have an accepted status, the system should account for the sponsor's contributed amount. In the events gross revenue here. and this is not where I keep track of an event's gross revenue by taking a sum of all accepted sponsor. I think this is a roll-up that we have not done. That's the so we create a new sponsor record with an accepted status, and if we do that, then it's gonna roll up the amount from the sponsor to the event. Let's look at all of this nonsense in here so that it makes more sense. So this is an event, and we have let me grab an empty event. So we have all of these three fields are blank. If I were to create a new sponsor with a status of accepted and a contribution amount of 1,000, just any value in here, then that should roll up the amount into the gross revenue. This is the requirement basically. When a sponsor record is updated to have an accepted status, the system should account for the sponsor's contributed amount in the event gross revenue field. So in the gross revenue field, we should have a roll-up of the total amount from the list of sponsor records with the status of accepted in here. Which, the way I would typically do this, I would use declarative lookup rollup summaries. I wouldn't use flows for it. The reason is, if you create a flow to roll up the amount from the sponsors, then you have to create one that gets triggered on create and on update, or on update. Whenever a status changes from some other value other than accepted to accepted, then perform with the rollup. Or if it's a new record, then perform with the rollup. So that's create and then update. But what happens if someone deletes it? You need it to trigger on delete as well. So you have to create two flows. One flow to run on create and update, and another flow to run on delete, and both of them will trigger this. Alternatively, if you create a DLRS, declarative lookup rollup summary record, then it's going to perform the rollup with only one record of DLRS, and it runs on create, on update, on delete, and you set the triggering records just fine. Additionally, Apex is typically faster than flows anyway. So this is what I would typically do, but this is not the purpose of this stream. The purpose is to actually run things with flows. So here is how I would approach things like this. Because I already know that eventually I'm gonna have to create two flows, and these two flows are doing the same thing. Both of them are going to have the same set of logic. Then this is a subflow requirement. This is when you would create a subflow and then call that subflow from two different places, from an on create, on update, and then from an on delete. Or you can create a platform event triggered flow, and then that gets called from the two other flows, from the on create or update, and then on delete. Now let's do it with a subflow first, and then if you guys are interested in seeing this with a platform event, then we can do that as well. Okay, let's go ahead and go to flows. It's already open here. I'm going to create a new flow. Starting from scratch, this is a record triggered on the sponsor object. Whenever, now I have, like as usual, whenever I set it to create or update, I separate the conditions. What are the conditions for create and what are the conditions for update? Now, we are going to, let me just like skip the conditions for a second and think about this. We're going to trigger it on the sponsor creation or update, but it's going to update another record. It's going to update the parent event. So I can't use fast field updates. If I were to select fast field updates and then go to the update element, can I actually update a related record? Yeah, so why is it giving me the... Okay, so it's like it showed... I was surprised to see this. It showed me update related records. I am trying to update the event, and the event is related through the lookup field event on the sponsor object. So I felt like, okay, well, like, why is it's allowing me to update it? And then after I created this, it said, because this flow runs before a record is saved, you can only update the record that triggered the flow. So it is supposed to only show me update triggering record, and then if I select update records, then it would only select the first option. So I feel like maybe we could just I mean, that's a flow design thing. I guess Adam and his team are going to take care of these things. Anyway, so I can't update the event, so I can't use fast field updates. I have to use actions and related records. So this is going to run after the record gets saved to the database. You know, I think we're gonna have to do a platform event. The before say the on delete is not going to work. I'm gonna build it in with on delete to show you the problem first, and then we're gonna build it with platform events. I'll show you the problem and the solution. Okay, let's. I'm gonna try to get the whole conditions and things done a little bit faster, because I want to focus on why on delete is a bad thing, or like it's not gonna work. Let's change this to a formula and write the conditions for new and updated. If it is new, then this is the case. The function is new, tells me that this is a new record, and I need the contribution amount to be populated. The contribution amount to be is blank, not. I'll grab this in here. So if it's a new record and the contribution amount is populated and the status is accepted, and let me set is big val. You could make it. You can select the field status, and the value here is accepted. You can select the field and then equals in, and then or like convert it to, or equals to quotation marks accepted. But I like to use is big val so that the people who we look at this know that this is a pick list field and not just a text data type. So these are the conditions. That line is the conditions for a new record. I'll just put all of it in between parentheses like this to say that these are the conditions for a created record. Now, what are the conditions for the updated record? I'll copy all of this because many of these are similar. I need the status to be accepted, the contribution amount to be to have a value, and then I will set a couple of things in here. If it's not new, then the user is updating something. What fields are updated to trigger this? Like whenever the status field gets updated and whenever the contribution amount gets updated. So let's use is changed operator, and then this will be the contribution amount. I'll copy it from here. Let's keep it at the contribution amount only, and not worry about the status, because I'm gonna have to add another OR statement for the other status. So let's just keep it whenever the contribution amount is changed for now. And because I'm using is changed operator, so I'm gonna keep this at every time a record is updated to meet the condition requirements. Now, let's say now a sponsor record got created, it meets these conditions. Sorry guys, I just saw your message again. I don't remember at what point you sent it. So yeah, you can let me know when that was, and I'm happy to talk to you about that. Okay, now we've got a sponsor created. It meets the conditions. We need the rollup to happen. So to do that, I'm gonna first get all the sponsor records under the event that meet the conditions. So I'm gonna use a get element, get all sponsor records, and I'll get the sponsor records that are under the same event. So the event is supposed to be the same event on the triggering record. We're getting all the sponsor records under the same event that was on the triggering sponsor record. So we're going to get all of them. I need to add another condition. You need to have a few conditions. The accepted ones, and the contribution amount is null false. I need only the sponsor records under the same event where the status is accepted and the contribution amount is populated. I need all of them, and the only field that I need is the amount. I don't need anything else. Now I'm gonna need the sum of the amount on all of these records. It was about the record related update with fast option. Gas is mentioning that the error would show up when I save the flow, when we were trying to update a related record, and yes, we would get an error if we couldn't even select the related record anyway. Okay, so I've got the sponsor records. Now we need to perform the aggregate, the sum. We used to do that with loop and assignments, but now that we have the transform element, we don't have to do that anymore. So we're gonna use the transform element. I'm not gonna name it yet. What we need to do now, the source data is the sponsor records. Let's select that. I'm not even like thinking about all the aspects of it. I know that my data is in this collection. And then what is the output? The output is a currency field. The output is just a currency field. So I'm gonna select currency, and it's not a collection, it's just a currency. And then I'm gonna go to that amount. No, it doesn't work. Let's select the collection and then map it to this. It automatically understands that we're performing an aggregate. It like automatically opens this. I selected the collection of sponsor records and mapped it to a currency field. When I did that, the system understood that you're taking something from the collection into one field, then you must be performing an aggregate. What type of aggregate is this? We need to do a sum. What field are we performing a sum on? That's the contribution amount. So that's it. I'm gonna go outside here. The transform element, the label, I give it the name of the output. What is the output? It is the total amount. So I'll say total amount. Now you notice that this is now named total amount. Now that we have got the total amount, let's go to the update element. I'm gonna select update related records now. Now it lets me select these options, and I will select I clicked on the triggering record, and then I want to click on the event. When I click on it, it opens the fields, but I am not interested in the fields. I need the record itself. I'm gonna click outside, and then down here I'm gonna select which fields we need to populate, and we need the gross revenue to be equal to the total amount from the transform. I know the transform element is fairly maybe new, so if you need me to pause or talk about this again, let me know. Now this is update event. Let's save. Roll up amounts. Let's, I'm gonna activate and I'll go test. All right, let's test this here. Let's delete this. Let's create a new one. Let's make it meet all the conditions. I know that we are not accounting for all edge case scenarios, but I wanna focus on the roll up only for now. Let's make this 1000. It's a status of accepted. I know the email is required, so let's save. All right, gross revenue is reflecting 1000. Let's create another. Can you let me clone this? Let's clone this. Make this just 500. And save again. Now let's refresh. This should be 1500 now. So I've got 1500. So we know it was working on create now. Let's just do one on update. Let's edit this. And we set the flow to run on the change of the contribution amount only. So if I'm going to set this to 2000, now it is reflecting the change. we didn't account for a status change. So if I change this to pending, it should deduct 2000. It doesn't, because we haven't added the operator is changed into the conditions intentionally. We're supposed to add the third line to account for this. So I'll just bring it back just to make sure that it is actually correct. Now, the delete part, if I go to delete this, it doesn't deduct it. Let's build the flow that would perform the roll-up on delete. Where's the flow? I want to close things. Okay. Because this is, I'm going to have to build the same 3 elements again, these 3 elements, in another flow. I'm going to save this as a subflow instead. And then I will call that subflow from these 2 flows. I'll save as a new flow. You can save as a new flow and change the flow type into another flow type. This will be the subflow for rollup. And I'm gonna click show advanced, and I'll change the type from record triggered to auto launched to make it a subflow. And I'll click save. I know that we have some problems. I'm like speeding up a little bit because I'm conscious of time. But let me stop me anytime. Okay. Now, because this is a subflow, not a record triggered flow. A record triggered flow has a global variable called record. That's the triggering record. If you create an auto launched flow, it does not have access to a triggering record. So we need to send that triggering record from the record triggered flow to the subflow after we add the subflow. We'll do that later. For now, it doesn't understand what this means. Like the subflow, the auto launched flow doesn't understand the triggering record. So instead, I'm going to replace this with a record variable called sponsor, because the sponsor was the triggering record. I'm going to replace it with a record variable called sponsor, which is empty, but then we're going to send it from the parent flow later on to populate it with values. So let's change this to what have you done? Okay. Let's start from the beginning. Let's start from the beginning. Here's another problem. That's the triggering record, which doesn't exist. So I'm gonna instead create a new resource. I'm gonna create a record variable sponsor. That's the triggering record, but we don't have access to it. We're gonna send it from the parent flow later. For now, this is a sponsor record, which is empty. I'm gonna mark it available for input because I'm gonna send it from available for input, meaning this variable is gonna receive something. Is gonna receive something from outside. So the thing that we're gonna send needs to be available for output. The thing that we are receiving needs to be available for input. All right, that's the sponsor, and we need the event to be on the sponsor record. That's the event ID. So we just fixed this one. Now let's go to, we don't need to do anything here, and then we are updating an event. It doesn't give me the related record option here, so we're gonna have to select use the IDs and all the field values. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna select specify conditions. What we are updating is an event record that has the same event ID on the sponsor record. So the sponsor record is the record variable, sponsor, and then event. We're updating that. That's the event that we are updating. And then what are we updating it with? We're gonna set what is it, gross? Wasn't it? What am I doing wrong? Camp X event. I think I selected the standard event. Yeah, I definitely selected the Salesforce event. That event ID needs to be the same event ID on the sponsor record. I feel like I'm confusing everyone. And then we're setting the gross revenue to the total amount from the transform element. let's save, and then I'm gonna go through what I just did again. All right, no more errors. All right, so this is an auto-launched flow. It has nothing to do with our record triggered flow yet. In this subflow, we're gonna look into this, how to send data from the parent flow in a minute. But basically, we are receiving the triggering sponsor record from a parent flow into this flow. That sponsor record is here. This is the sponsor. So imagine that this is the triggering record. Instead of a global variable record, this is our triggering record. And anywhere where we need to use the triggering record, we're going to use this one instead. And then we're going to populate that variable from the parent flow in a minute. So we're getting all the sponsor records under the event of the triggering record. And then we are updating that event on that sponsor. Let's save this and activate it. Now I'm gonna go back to flows. Let me close this. And let's go to the record triggered flow that we built earlier. And replace all of these, the three elements, with the subflow instead. So I'm gonna get rid of this, and get rid of this, and get rid of this. And I'll find the subflow, so I can click here and then just paste it to find the subflow. And I'll just say, perform the rollup now. You see now the variable that we marked as available for input shows up in here. That's the sponsor. And let's include it, and let's send the triggering record to it. I hope this step makes things make sense now. We're sending the triggering record into a variable called record variable sponsor, and then the subflow is taking care of every step after that. Now let's save this as a new version and activate. If we were to do our updates, let's change this from 2000 to 600. It should continue to work, so it's working just fine. So it's doing the same thing, we just did some organizing. Let's go back to flow and let's create the one on delete now. Record triggered flow. If you can tell me what's the problem with on delete in the chat, that would be amazing. So we need, whenever a sponsor record gets deleted, let's just, let's not add any conditions. Let's just make it run whenever a record is deleted. And we're going to call the same subflow. So subflow, it's performing the rollup. Rollup. So it's doing the same thing. And send the triggering record, same thing. Pretty much everything is the same. Rollup on delete. Now this is not going to work. I need someone to tell me why. Let's give it a try. Let's create a new one. Accepted 400. And then dev. It was 1100. The expectation now is it becomes 1500. I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean it should be 1500. Which one was it? Oh man. No, that's the 600. I'm gonna delete the 600. The expectation now is that it goes down to 900. Deleting. It is still 1500. It is still 1500. Why? Or let's ask another question. Did it run? Did the flow run? Did this? Remember that in the entry conditions we didn't put which one? I'm sorry, you need the delete. In the entry conditions of the on delete, we didn't put any conditions. So whenever a sponsor record gets deleted, the flow runs, right? So did the flow run? Yes, it did. Then why did it not calculate correctly? It was about the record related update with fast option. More, I need more information. All right, the answer is here. The answer is on the screen. This flow on delete, and this is something that a lot of people, like, try to make workarounds to fix this, and some of these workarounds are ugly, and I actually did some of the ugly ones myself before. The subflow also fired. It would also work. So basically the problem is here. The problem is in this line. On delete runs before delete. Before delete. It's called on delete, and then it runs before delete. So the logic to calculate runs before the record is actually deleted from the database. You actually click delete, but then after you click delete, the logic runs, and then the record is taken out of the database. So the rollup actually did work. Let's say we have 2 records, just for simplicity. Each one is 500, and then we deleted one of them. Once you deleted it, the 2 records, once you click the delete, the 2 records still remain in the database. The flow on delete, the logic in the flow on delete runs before the record is deleted, does the rollup, 500 plus 500 equals 1000, puts the 1000 on the event, and then deletes the record. The remaining one remains 500. So it does actually calculate, but it does that in the, what was it called? In the order of execution, it did it before deleting from the database. It did it before deleting from the database. So the solution to this is, how do we make it run after delete instead of before delete? Remember, in the record triggered flow on update, we have the 2 options. We have a before delete, before update, or before save, and then we have an after save. But when you do delete, we have only before save until the flow team releases the option to run an after delete. The only option we have right now is before delete. Now, I know I've seen some workarounds, some ugly ones. I did build some ugly ones before, until I came into a realization that platform events helps with this problem. And I'll show you platform events quickly. Did the problem make sense before we look at the solution? Do we see the problem? Okay, until, yep. All right, let's look at platform event. A platform event is like any other object. It's like any other object, but you would, and you know, in the world of development, whenever you need to communicate between 2 systems, one system sends an event to another system, the other system is listening to that event, and whenever that event happens, some logic runs. It's just like a programming thing. It's very common. So we need to use a platform event. But why? Why would we, like, what difference does it make? I'm going to show you the difference now. If I were to create a new platform event, you will notice something here called publish behavior. And publish behavior has 2 options. Publish immediately. Publish immediately means it's going to run in the same transaction. So when we run a record triggered flow on delete, and we set this to and we set it to create a platform event that was set to publish immediately, it's going to run before delete as well. But we have that other option, publish after commit, which means the on delete record triggered flow is going to create a platform event, publish a platform event, delete the record from the database, and after delete, we were going to have another flow, a platform event triggered flow that will run after commit, and that one is going to calculate correctly just fine. So let's create this event. Let's say this is rollup event, and rollup events, make it run after commit, set it to deployed. And a platform event is like an object. We can create fields in here. I'm going to create a field to receive the sponsor record ID, just to let the event know. The event is like when you run it on delete, it's like you send a taxi or something. You like, taxi, take this value, go to this some other flow and give that value to it. So we're gonna ask it to carry the sponsor ID. Sponsor ID. Let's set it to 18 and save. Now back to on delete, and instead of performing the rollup on delete, now we're just going to call that event, platform event. And because a platform event is like any other object, let me actually refresh because it's not gonna find it until I refresh. Because a platform event is like any other object, you're gonna find it in the create element. So you can do a create, and let's select manually. And one of the objects here is going to be the platform event, rollup event. Now we're used to seeing the standard event like a count. It doesn't have a suffix, but a custom object would have __ C. A platform event would have an __ E. So this is the platform event and is expecting a sponsor ID. We're gonna send the triggering sponsor ID just like this. Let's save this as a new version and activate. Now we sent the event. Now we just sent the event. The event got published, but we need the listener now. The logic that will listen to that event and then do something. And that would be another flow. We're gonna go to flows, and then we're gonna create a platform event triggered flow. Starting from scratch, platform event triggered flow. We need this flow to listen to one event. That's the rollup event. Listen to that rollup event. Whenever that rollup event happens, then run this. Let's ignore the advanced settings for now. The only sad thing about platform event triggered flows is that it doesn't let me call subflows. Like I wish like we could just like call the subflow in here. I'm hoping that this is an enhancement that we receive soon. So that we don't have to run all of these elements that we had in the subflow. I don't even have it open. So that we don't have to do that again. Let me close these confusing tabs. Right. So I'm gonna have to do all of this again. So let's just do that quickly. I'm gonna get all sponsor records. I'll just move it to another, or maybe I'll just try to do them side by side. That's the downside. And then what do we have down here? We need all records. I can't even see it. We need all records, and we need the amount, and then we need a transform element to receive the sponsors, and then I need a currency field here, and we need that collection here. We need to do a sum of the amount, and let's name this total amount, and then we need to perform an update event where the ID. There's actually something that I don't have. Maybe I should have sent the event ID as well. So I'm just going to get the sponsor, the actual sponsor record. We didn't. we only sent it the sponsor ID, not the entire record. So I'm just gonna get it because I need the event ID. We need a sponsor that is, we need the actual record and I need the event ID. And then in here, I need the one that's down from get. Sorry, I'm rushing this. And then what are we updating here? We're updating the amount. Did I get this wrong again? The gross amount to be equal to the total amount. Roll up. I'm not even using proper names. I'm just rushing through a lot of stuff. What's the problem? Get all the sponsored. The element has an invalid reference to. All right. This is the event from here. Okay. Now let's try this. I know I'm rushing through many of the logic, but it's the order of execution that that's my focus behind all of this. Now let's go to our event, and how much is this amount? This is 500. So if I delete this, it should trigger the roll up again. And if I delete it, then the only remaining one would be that 400. So if I delete this one, then the gross amount should change to 400. It didn't. Does it need a minute? All right. We need to troubleshoot this. I could run a debug log. It's gonna take time. We could run a debug log so that we can read the logs and then just delete and then read the logs and see where things went wrong. But that's basically the idea, that we run a platform event and then trigger a platform event triggered flow and make it run the logic instead of using an on delete. I'm just conscious of time. I might troubleshoot this and send you an email on the newsletter perhaps, or you can experiment with this and let me know. Does anybody have any questions? No? I'm trying to display the full camera, but it doesn't seem to be working. Anyway, I'll just bring it back. It looks weird. Right. Yeah. If nobody has any questions, thank you all for today. How do I submit a use case for a flow to go through? Send me a message on LinkedIn, on my email. I'll reply to one of my newsletter emails, on YouTube, on Twitter. I am all over the place, so you can send me a message anywhere. This is my email as well. Let me paste it. What's away? I'll just Google anything, and then I should be able to paste it here. Yeah, and this is my email. feel free to send me an email or message me on LinkedIn or anywhere. Thank you all for today. I hope you found value. Message me anytime. I'm just sticking around in case anyone has a question, but feel free to hop off. Thank you very much. Which turtle? Is it the background? And I feel like, is it? I know. I don't have a turtle. I know, maybe is it a hoodie? I don't know. Thank you very much. I'm still seeing viewers, so that's why I'm sticking around if you have anything to say or any questions or. I wanna turn this off. I know there is nothing meaningful on the screen right now.